Well, welcome to the Crofty Rogues. My name is John Cosgrove. I'm one half of the Crofty Rogues. The other half is sitting next to me, even though he looks like he's a quarter of the Crofty Rogues. I'm from Ireland. I'm funny, witty, outgoing and cultural. He is Stephen Quinn.
I am, and I'm from Australia, but what you said about you being smart and funny and all that, all evidence to the contrary so far, I must say. Now, given that we are the Crofty Rogues, we're here for the Celtic Croft. What are we here to talk about? John, the funny guy.
We're here to talk about a customer if we don't know in the field of Scotland, eh? Aye, we are.
Yes, what he said. We're here to review the penultimate, that's second last, episode.
You would know what that is.
Very good.
Did you compete in the penultimate games?
You feel good about that, don't you?
You do as well.
The second last episode of Men In Kilts, where Sam and Graham from Outlander travel around Scotland, absorbing culture, history, and moments of significance to Scottish heritage.
This week it was all about clans and tartans. Clans is a Gaelic word which means sort of a family. In Ireland it's called a clan. In Scotland it's called a clan.
What's the difference?
There is none.
The way you said it there, it's what Cockneys call a funny guy who dresses up in makeup in the circus. You know, a clan.
Well, in this case, it's actually families. And these families back in the day in Scotland fought over... Now, Scotland's not a big place.
No.
It's about the size of my hand.
But better looking.
And they... Well, maybe a few less bumps and bruises. But these clans, McGregors, McLeods, McDonald's and other restaurant owners would be fighting in Scotland over bits of land that would be about the size of my hand.
I have done some research. Some of the great feuds were between the McDonald's and the McLeods, the McGregors... And
Chase the McLeods away and the rain will folly.
Done?
Yeah.
The McGregors and the McLarens. But
were they drivers?
Very good. You mean the McGregor Formula One team? The famous iconic...
That's iconic and Scottish together.
Well, the iconic figure in Scottish history
is number 7.
Rob Roy.
Kenny Dalglish.
Rob Roy. You're on fire. What? Where have you been? All these last episodes was Rob Roy. You may have seen the movie.
Otherwise known as Liam Neeson from Ballymena.
But here's the thing.
Who's from Ireland.
Here's the thing. When you dig down into it, Rob Roy was really Bob McGregor. Bob McGregor's your plumber.
Bob McGregor's not going to get on TV and Liam Neeson is not going to play no Bob McGregor.
Bob McGregor does your taxes. But Rob Roy's full name was Rob Roy McGregor.
I'm just going to list out the places that they were.
Yeah, all right. I've got a list here.
Ballyhidder.
Balquidder.
Ailesky.
Isle of Skye.
Beaufort Castle.
Beaufort Castle.
And Trumpen Church.
Yeah, Trumpen Church.
I got that one right.
They were a country duo in the 80s.
One out of 4.
One of them broke off and went into politics.
They journeyed to Graham's ancestral castle and the castle associated with Clan Fraser, who was Sam's fictitious character, because Sam's family doesn't have a clan.
Let's back up first. Let's back up a little bit. They went to the magnificently named Prickly Thistle, which has to be a pub somewhere.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Pints at the Prickly Thistle, everybody. Let's go. And they met up with Claire Campbell, who explained how they're still using ancient methods to create modern tartans. And it looks really cool.
Yeah, I suppose, but I kept thinking,
you
know, I could print that stuff at home in my 3D printer.
Yeah, okay. And then...
I'm wondering, are those fabrics that they made, are those the ones that are available at Celtic Croft?
Well, that's a very interesting question.
I bet they are.
Because if you go to the Kilts and Stuff website, you can see everything Celtic Croft has to offer. And it's a lot, let me tell you.
Lots of tartans.
And then they sat down with the Badenoch walking group. Now, walking is not, going for a stroll. It's walking with an AU in it. And it's when they work the wool so that it becomes tighter and more waterproof when it turns into tartans.
Here's the thing.
What's the thing?
I skipped over all that because for a very specific reason.
You fast
I did. When these, no harm to them, when these old Scottish daffies.
Hey, let me pull the wool over your eyes.
Because they're recreating something from 500 years ago because they couldn't be arsed to do it the modern way. I just can't. And to be fair, Graham and Sam were sitting there trying to look enthusiastic like they did with the Gaelic lessons earlier.
Yeah.
No wonder they drank more whiskey than usual at the end of the episode.
Well, then they went to buy a seaplane, no less, who's up the budget for this episode. They went to Graham's ancestral home, which is Sween Castle. Here's what it was. It's a pile of bricks on a lake at the back of a caravan park.
Yes, and Sam was very keen to point that out.
Constantly.
Yes, and they didn't even stop. They just swooped down, touched water, and then all the way up again.
Do clans have feuds in Ireland?
What do you think?
I think Ireland and feud, and I'm going with yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But they had the McDonalds and the McLeods, the McGregors and the McLarens. I thought the McLaren representative was a bit too English for my liking.
Here's what I've written down. The McGregor guy looked like he'd woken up after a night at the pub and went, oh, I'm on that show today. He's grabbed something out of his cupboard. He's put his long grey hair in a ponytail, put on a silly hat and turned up. The McLaren guy...
He's been ready for weeks.
Who spoke very much like this.
I'd say. Not Scottish at all.
Had hired a stylist, not that anyone would do that, to look fantastic. And he seemed a little... privileged.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
A little privileged.
I'd rather have the rough and ready Scottish boy because I can relate to that. I get up in the morning, I tie my grey hair in a ponytail, and I just throw on the latest, greatest things that I can get my hands on. Moving quickly along. We would tell you what the names of those tartans are, but we don't really know. But they all look great.
They were Nigel was one of them. Kevin was another one of the tartans.
We love the Kevin tartan.
Angus, we'll go with
They
Angus.
are all available
at kiltsandstuff.com, the Celtic Croft website. And finally, they went to the fictitious home of Sam's character, Jamie, in Uitlander. And they had a bit of a feast.
Oh, yeah.
They got all dressed up.
No, you remember. Yeah, I'll tell you what. You know what looks good?
What?
A tuxedo with a kilt.
Oh, yeah, it does. It looks really, really good.
And if you want to look good in a kilt with a tuxedo, we've already mentioned them. We can't keep mentioning them, but we will.
I tell you what else looked good in that scene. That
pig's head.
Suckling pig. Yeah.
Tasty.
Yeah.
Didn't show us eating them, but they did have their dram at the end. Yeah. Very good show.